video, we'll discuss basic approach to chest X-ray. This is useful for radiology PGs, radiologists and also clinicians. So what we are going to learn in this video is first projection of the X-ray, how to identify AP versus PA, and then assess the image quality of X-ray. How to know if the patient is rotated, how to know the penetration of the X-ray is appropriate and whether it's a good inspiratory film or not. Next, we'll move on to the actual reading of X-ray with ABCDE approach, which will tell us how to interpret a chest X-ray. Coming to the first thing, projection. So, in PA projection or PA view, patient is facing towards the X-ray film or detector and X-ray beam is passing from his posterior to his anterior like this. Whereas in AP view, the patient is facing towards the X-ray tube. So, X-ray beam is passing from his anterior to his posterior. The film or detector is behind the patient in this. Patient is usually erect in PA view. Whether he is sitting or standing, it's erect. And in AP, the patient is usually supine, like bedside X-rays and all that. Coming to the actual difference in the films. To identify PA versus AP, first see the scapulae. Scapulae are away from lung fields in PA view and scapulae project over the lung fields in AP view. Next, the clavicles project over the lung apices in PA and they are over and above the lung apices in AP view. The lung vasculature, when you observe the hyla, it's normal in PA. Apparent crowding is there in AP view. And next, the cardia. No apparent cardiomegaly is seen in PA view and apparent cardiomegaly is seen in AP view. To other differences which may be present in PA and AP view. The gastric bubble or the fundic gastric bubble is well seen in PA view and may or may not be seen in AP view. Apparent reduction in lung volume can be seen in AP view and elevated hemidiaphragm or elevated diaphragm as such can be seen in AP view. These differences are because the patient is erect in PA view and supine in AP view usually. Moving on to assessing image quality, first thing is rotation. Identify medial ends of clavicle shown in yellow, spinous processes shown in blue here. So if the patient is not rotated and the X-ray is taken very well, the medial aspects of both clavicles are equidistant from the spinous processes both on right and left side. So this distance A will be equal to distance B. That means there is no rotation of the patient and the X-ray is perfect to read. If rotation is there, now here in this X-ray you can see that patient is rotated towards right side. How will we tell that? Because the distance between the medial end of right clavicle is greater than the distance between the spinous process and the left clavicle. And same happens if the patient is rotated towards the left side. So in left side, patient is rotated towards left in this X-ray. You can see the distance between medial end of left clavicle to the spinous process is greater than the right side. Next technical quality is to identify whether it's a good inspiratory film or not. So to assess the inspiration, you have to count the number of anterior ribs. 5 to 6 visible anterior ribs should be there. You have to count it above the diaphragm. So the last rib which you count should be intersecting diaphragm in the mid-clavicular line. That is a good inspiratory film. And posterior ribs, when you count them, at least 9 to 10 should be visible above the diaphragm. That means it's a good inspiratory film. In an expiratory film or a shallow inspiratory film or a poor inspiratory film, what happens is when you count the anterior ribs, you can count only 1, 2, 3, 4 like in this X-ray, so less than 5. So this can show apparent cardiomegaly, and there can be crowding of the vessels in the hilum. So this mimics congestion in both lungs. See here, you can see how hilar vessels are crowded in the expiratory film. Next technical quality is the penetration, whether it's a well penetrated film or not. How to tell it's a well penetrated film? See here, you can see vertebral bodies which are just visible behind the cardiac shadow. So they are not too visible, they are not too opaque. And left hemidiaphragm should be visible up to the spine. These are the characteristics of a well penetrated film. Here we have two X-rays, and the first X-ray you can see vertebral bodies are not visible at all behind the cardiac shadow. So this is a underexposed or a underpenetrated film where there is no good penetration of X-rays through the tissues. The next X-ray here we can see that there is too much clarity in the visualization of vertebral bodies behind the cardiac shadow. So the vertebrae are too clearly visible. That means it's an overexposed film or a over-penetrated film. What happens in over-penetrated film is we can miss out subtle lesions or subtle opacities. Opposite happens in underexposed film where opacities are magnified too much. Coming to actual interpretation of the X-ray, we use the ABCDE approach. First, assess the airways with trachea, carina and bronchi. Next, the breathing, that is lung fields. Next, assess the cardia. After that, D for diaphragm, including the Costophrenic angles. Last is the extrapulmonary structures which can be seen on a chest X-ray like bones, soft tissues, tubes, lines or any other artifacts, etc. should be assessed. Coming to airway, here centrally the main airway which is trachea, you have to check whether if it is present in midline or it is deviated to either sides. Slight right side deviation is normal without any other pathological cause clinically. Also look for any narrowing or any obstruction if you can see. Follow it up with right main bronchus. Here you can see in orange, and left main bronchus I highlighted in pink. As you can see, the right main bronchus is more vertical and in line with trachea. So more chances of foreign bodies getting lodged within the right lower lobe, and left main bronchus deviation. So once you see tracheal deviation, please see opacity is on which side. That will help you to see whether the trachea is pulled or pushed. In first X-ray, you can see trachea is deviated towards right side, opacity is also towards right side. That means that opacity is pulling the trachea towards its own side, that is right side. That pulling of trachea is because of collapse of right lung. In second X-ray also, the tracheal deviation is towards right side, but the opacity is on the left side. In this case, the trachea is pushed towards right side, and this happens because of massive pleural effusion, for example, which is seen in this X-ray. Next thing regarding airways is we have to see the carina. Normally it is 50 to 100 degrees. More than 100 degrees, that means there is widening of carina. Multiple causes are there. We will not go into detail, like left atrial enlargement, subcarinal lesions, etc. We are done with A of ABCDE. Now coming to B, that is breathing. We see lung fields and hilum. In X-ray, we divide lungs into zones based on the ribs. So first rib here and second rib. Mark the lower end of second rib, above which we have upper zone, and third rib, fourth rib. Mark the lower end of fourth rib, and here we have the middle zone, and below which we have the lower zones. Please do not confuse the zones with lobes. They are not corresponding to lung lobes. So first margin or first line to draw is lower border of second rib or costal cartilage. Second line to draw is lower border of fourth rib. So these two lines will divide lungs into three different zones, and we have to locate or localize the opacity to three zones on X-ray. So upper, middle and lower zones. Coming to lung hilum. Hilum is an area through which pulmonary artery, main bronchus and pulmonary veins enter the lung parenchyma. So what we can see are pulmonary arteries mainly on X-ray. Left hilum is normally higher up than the right hilum, or it is at the same level. It is never lower than the right hilum. This you have to remember. The angle is called hilar angle, formed by inferior pulmonary artery, superior pulmonary vein. And if this angle is blunted, then there is a pathology. Coming to lung parenchymal evaluation, B for breathing, we have to see the lung fields. So we have to see abnormalities causing increased opacification like nodules, masses, ground glass opacities or consolidations. These opacities we can look for in X-ray, and other one is the pleural effusion, which is also increased opacification at CP angle. Then pathologies causing decreased opacification. Here we can see pneumothorax, mainly in the apical region if it is there. Other are bullae, nematoceles, honeycombing, which is difficult to see on X-ray, but yeah, sometimes if it's gross you can. Next, coming to cardia. In cardia, we will see what are cardiac borders, how to identify chambers grossly on X-ray, and how to measure the cardiac size on X-ray. Coming to cardiac borders, here we have superior vena cava forming the right heart border. Next, the right atrium and the inferior vena cava. These three form the right heart border. Left heart border is formed by, here the rounded structure you can see, that is aortic knuckle or aortic arch or aortic knob. Next we have the pulmonary bay, and next here this is the left atrium and the left ventricle. These are the ones forming left heart border. We can only grossly identify chambers of heart on X-ray or guess where they are. Right atrium, right ventricle and left atrium here. As we see, right atrium forms right heart border, right ventricle sits on the diaphragm forming inferior border of heart, left ventricle forms apex of heart and left heart border. Also left atrium is closely related to carina, as we can see in this image. We cannot definitely outline the chambers on X-ray. We require CT or MRI for that, but this is just to know the pathologies where they can occur. To measure cardiac size on X-ray, we use cardiothoracic ratio. So we take cardiac size first and next the thoracic size below the base of the heart, and then divide cardiac size by thoracic size. So the name itself suggests what to divide from what. Do not get confused. Cardiothoracic ratio means cardiac size divided by thoracic size. How to measure the cardiac size? I will explain it now. So first, draw a line through the spinous processes in the midline. Measure the maximum dimension of right heart border to spinous process and left heart border to spinous process. So you get two distances, that is distance A and distance B. This is A, this is B. So A plus B will be your maximum cardiac diameter or cardiac size on X-ray. This you have to divide by the thoracic size. Normal cardiothoracic ratio is 0.42 to 0.5. This is normal. and 0.5 to 0.55 is considered borderline normal by some of the authors. So more than 0.55 is called enlarged. So below 0.55 is still normal range. The angle what cardia makes with the diaphragm are called cardiophrenic angles. There are two, right and left. Clinical significance is that if these angles are obscured, that means the lower lobe of lung pathology can be suspected, like collapse or consolidation, etc. And with cardia, now coming to D, that is diaphragm and costophrenic angle. Here we have right hemidiaphragm and left hemidiaphragm, which form two costophrenic angles, right and left. So in case of blunting of costophrenic angles, pleural effusion can be suspected, and differential diagnosis will be pleural thickening. If subtle CP angle obscuration is there, suspect that. Always you can correlate clinically or with ultrasound whether it's pleural effusion or pleural thickening. Lastly, we discuss E of ABCDE, that is extrapulmonary structures, bones, soft tissues, whatever we can see. What bones we can see? We can see clavicle, we can see scapula here, and we can see vertebral bodies. Then most importantly, the ribs. Look for their continuity for fracture or any lesions. If you want detailed video of any of these topics or case-wise discussion on X-rays basically for Viva, etc., please comment down below on the topics. Like this video, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Instagram Radiology Doodles.